Hello and welcome to City Scene, a TV program about your city government. And today we're talking about some changes and some improvements and different things. And we're starting off with a big change with how the city operates and buys things. We've got our purchasing manager, Angeline Brinkley. How are you?
Fine, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Okay.
Always a pleasure having you here. We wanted to talk about a local preference policy because the City Council enacted one of those. And let's just start off telling people, what is a local preference policy?
Okay, Steve, a local preference policy is a policy that a city enacts that would allow a local business to have a preference of some type. There are different types, but it would give a local business a preference over businesses that are considered non-local in doing business with the city of Greenville.
And so I think the thought process is to try to keep as much of the tax dollars money in Greenville as opposed to sending them to companies outside of the city, right?
That's correct.
Okay, well, it's always good to keep and support our local businesses.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at how do you define what is a local business?
Well, the City Council of the City of Greenville had to decide what's local for us.
Right.
Local is defined as any business operating within the city limits of Greenville or the ETJ.
Mm-hmm. Does it have certain size restrictions or number of employees restrictions or things like that?
In our local preference policy, there are 4 different types of criteria that a business could use. One would be having a business inside the city limits that is 500 square feet or larger. Or if you don't have 500 square feet, you could have 3 employees that are operating out of a business in the city. Or you could actually have a business that's located within a residence that is properly zoned but has been in that residence for at least 1 year.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a variety of different kinds of businesses.
A variety of different ways.
But the bottom line is they're here inside Greenville.
Inside the city limits or the ETJ.
Excellent, excellent. Now, does it just apply to all of the businesses, or do they have to register as being a local business in order to take advantage of some of the things we'll talk about in a few minutes?
Well, we do have a registration process, and that process basically is that the business owner would fill out a form that would answer a few questions to make sure that we understand where they're operating and where they're located so that we can certify, if you will, that they are an actual local business, and then we'll put them in what we call our eligible local bidders directory. That, therefore, you and any other employees that are looking to find out if a business is actually local can look at that directory. So there's a form that they can fill out, and we would process that and then send them out an approval letter.
Now, we've got a lot of businesses in Greenville. So I'm not going to put you on the spot for how many there are, but I know there are a lot of them. Yes. I guess that directory really helps us as employees of figuring out what businesses are out in the community, what they have to offer, so that when we're looking to buy things, we can turn to you first and say, I don't know who to look for, and you've got the lists, right?
Yes, we have a list.
Okay, but even without that list, they can still take advantage of local preference, is that right?
Well, during the bid process, they can actually turn the form in if they submit a bid or proposal at that time. So it is not mandatory that they fill this out ahead of time, but we would like for people to fill it out ahead of time so we can go ahead and get it processed, because it does speed up the process when we have the bidder already certified as being local. And because this just went into effect as of February 1st, 2014, we don't have a lot of businesses that have completed that process, but we do have approximately 30 applications that we've received, and so we'd like for people to continue to send those in so we can get them processed.
And it wouldn't be faster just for us, it would be faster for the businesses who are in that bidding process, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that bidding process. What does the local preference mean in the bid process?
Well, Steve, first of all, in the state of North Carolina, there are a lot of caveats that surround local preference. In other words, our city council asked the city attorney and the staff to bring forth the strongest local preference policy possible. And what that means is that there will be instances where our local preference policy can be exercised, and there are also instances where it cannot be exercised. There are 4 places actually where we can apply that contract, and that's purchases that's $30,000 and under. So when you talk about the bid process, that is a little, well, I should say a lot different from what was required in the past. Under North Carolina law, under $30,000, you don't have to get bids or quotes. But according to our local preference now, we will be getting quotes for contracts that are under $30,000 so that we can exercise a local preference. And that's for purchase contracts or construction contracts.
Now, you're talking about purchase contracts. That's actually purchasing large quantities. It's not just going out and buying a box of pencils, right?
actually buying a box of pencils would apply to the local preference.
Wow.
Yes.
So it encompasses everything. I didn't mean to cut you off there,
That's
but
right.
it really does.
Yes,
Okay.
it encompasses, and for the purchases, it is 30,000 and under. But now, if we're talking about procuring services, services is any dollar amount. The local preference policy applies to all service contracts. So that's the distinction. Is it a purchase or is it a service? So if we're getting price quotes on something that costs $500 or $5,000, then we must apply the local preference. However, if we get over $30,000 for a piece of equipment or a purchase, now we're under another different set of rules.
Then you're talking about the state laws that
Yes.
kind of kick in from there.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that makes a little more sense then. But still, if you're talking about every kind of purchase that we're making, it really would benefit all of our businesses in Greenville to get in touch with you guys
Yes.
to get into this database then
Yes.
for local businesses.
Yes. And they can get that form on our website. They can read all about the local preference policy on our website. They can read about the requirements and the criteria, and then they can download the form and they can email it to us, or they can hand deliver it, or they can snail mail it.
Okay, now we're still talking about bid processes here and
Okay.
things like that. We're always looking for the best ways to save our tax dollars and be good stewards of the tax dollars. So it doesn't just mean if you're a local business, you automatically get the contract or the purchase or things like that. There's still some caveats to it, right?
Yes. What we have is called a price matching preference. So what that really means is that the city is not going to pay more for an item to buy it locally, but if we get prices on, say for example, the camera equipment, and we get prices on the camera equipment and the low bidder is a non-local bidder, but there is a local bidder who is within 5% of that low bidder's price, then that local bidder will get an opportunity to match the non-local bidder's price. So it's called a price matching preference. So, but you've got, the key to that is that they've got to be within 5%. So if you're 50% higher than the low bidder, you would not get an opportunity to exercise the preference. And if it's a service contract, the local bidders get a 5 percentage points of the total points. So in other words, when we select a consultant and it's based on qualifications, not price, then they will get 5 percentage points for being local.
Gotcha. And that doesn't mean that if they're within 5% of the low bid, that they automatically get it at the price. That just is a price match. They have to then say, I'll do it for what the low price was.
Yes, they have to agree to match the low price. And they don't have to, but we will extend that opportunity to them.
And if they don't have to, then we go ahead and award it to the low
bidder.
price.
That's
because
right.
again, we're trying to be good stewards of the tax dollars.
That's right.
While we're still trying to be good stewards of keeping the tax dollars in Greenville.
That's right.
Okay. So if people have questions, more questions about the local preference policy, how it works, things like that, who do they turn to?
They turn to me.
And what's your phone number
They
then?
can call me at 252-329-4462.
All right. And do we have information about this on the website as well?
Yes, it is on our purchasing website. They can go to the city homepage and click on the businesses tab and click on the purchasing division, and all of the information is there for them.
Outstanding. Angeline, thank you much.
Thank you. You're welcome,
Appreciate
Steve.
you coming on the show.
No problem.